slowly, over time, and the thanks to many other dedicated martial artists, who most of them who I've met have had similar trauma.
Mm-hmm.
They helped me find myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I detoxed off of all the bad things I was doing. And I'm not just talking about, when I'm talking about addiction,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just talking about drugs and alcohol.
Okay.
That's what, when we speak about addiction, that is usually where we first tend to think of. It's
Mm-hmm.
just drugs and alcohol. But it doesn't end there.
No.
Addiction, you could be addicted to emotion. You could be addicted to food in your diet.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge addiction for me as well, because when I stopped drinking and I stopped smoking, whatever, I kept wanting to fill that void with something, and it became food.
Yeah.
And so I gorged myself on everything and constantly ate and ate and ate. And I know you might not be able to tell now, but I've actually lost probably over 100 pounds by now.
What?
I used to weigh 300 pounds, and I was a complete mess. And I simply decided no more.
Mm-hmm.
I had to detox off of all the unhealthy food I was eating. And it truly was a detox. I was surprised. I didn't know that your body would go through withdrawal from carbohydrates, from sodium, from sugar, from oils.
Yeah.
You become chemically addicted and dependent. Your internal system becomes dependent on it. And one by one, I decided to let go of the things I was eating. And it wasn't until my body was basically purified and stripped down to the bare bones, stripped down to a very minimalist diet,
Mm-hmm.
and fasting, and just because what I did is I took myself from 300 down to and this was part of my decision. I decided that I needed to break myself down into nothing, so that I can rebuild from that. And that was my plan.
You know, it's very interesting that because you've gone through the whole cycle, right? The whole cycle of emotional trauma, which is what people say. It first affects you physically, then emotionally, then mentally, but then you were able to break through all of this. You know, I think that there's strength in that. There's strength in you recognizing that at some point you were this addict, and then you were able to break through out of it, you know? I think it's very, very, this is what the human experience is all about. You know, you learn through your trial times. I'm sure that now sitting here, you could appreciate the fact that martial arts has given you sort of like a structure to your life, right? It helped you integrate all those angers that you had into kindness. You know that you have that anger inside of you, but you are not feeding that anger constantly, right? That's what martial arts could do to you. Some people do it differently. You know, some people like pick up a book, they go through self-help, and you chose martial arts. And then you're sticking to it, you're persevering, you're persisting, which I think there's so much strength in that. There's strength in you knowing that there is this fighter inside of you, and then but you're choosing to let that fighter be while you be someone else. You know, I don't know how far you are in your journey. I know that a lot of people are in journeys that it's going to take you a while. Like if you're in his type of journey where you went through addiction, whatever type of addiction it is, it's going to take you a journey. Some people, it takes them like 10 years, you know, and you did that work. And now you're here fighting, persisting to live your dreams. Okay. So, and I think it's inspiring, because there are people that are sitting there in their rooms that have gone through such trauma like you have, like losing your mother at such a young age. Where do you get guidance from? at that point. You feel betrayed by life. I think I would, if I lost my mother at a very young age, I'll feel like someone is betraying me. And that's what you felt, and that's what led you to the path of, your addictions, but you're able to break through from that. So now that you're fighting and you're chasing a dream, how do you feel about that?
Now that I'm chasing a dream, I feel, honestly, I don't really feel excited about it. I
Okay.
don't feel like I'm gonna do this no matter what. I honestly just simply feel that it's my responsibility for the world.
Okay.
And it was hard. You're right. And yes, I lost my mother, and her husband, my father. He lost his wife that he loved very much, and it broke him.
Yeah.
And so he was lost in his own ways, and then we all became lost after that. And you know, it sounds really silly, but this is the truth. Um, the the final straw for me was, because I was struggling so much, I felt like I couldn't make a lot of friends, and the friends I did have weren't real friends, and they were toxic, or they were unhealthy, and I just wasn't about that life anymore. And what became my best friend uh, was actually a horse, an
Wow.
Andalusian horse named Serena. I confided in this horse, and I would go to her stall. I took care of her every day for several years, and I remember I felt safe, and that's when I started to be able to cry, and that was my final straw,
Yeah.
because I truly felt connected with her, and like she understood me, and she was very intelligent, and not only did she change my perception in general, which looking back, I'm very surprised that it came to an animal to change my perception. Then you would think maybe it'd be another human being.
Yeah.
But it was actually an animal. And not only did she change my perception, but she changed the way I perceived animals in general. And and yeah, so that's what kind of kick-started it all. And it was from that moment on where I decided I needed to do
To
this.
need to do something. Yeah. So, it's not silly for an animal to be your guide in life. People have told stories about animals rescuing them, pulling them actually out of the trauma, the emotional trauma that they're in. So I guess that was what she was for you. Andalusia is her name.
Her name is Serena,
Serena.
and her type of breed is called an Andalusian.
Andalusian.
Yes.
Yeah, I know nothing about
Oh,
horses.
I
I'm
didn't
sorry.
either.
Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah, but I know that some people they use horses as therapy. So
Yes.
if the horse can open up to you, if the horse is accepting of you, it means that they're supposed to be your guide. So I know about those type of things. But it's remarkable that you were able to, find connection with the horse.
Yeah.
It's great. And look where you are now. I mean, so who now serves as that emotion? Have you found a place in yourself where you could go to and be that support system for yourself? Because, sometimes we don't need other people. Sometimes we have to be able to get out of all the emotional trauma that we're in. Like for me, I just change perceptions. Like for me, I just change my perception. If I see something that I don't like or something is affecting me pretty badly, I just try to look at it differently. So that's how I approach things. I know other people approach it through, oh, I'm going to go seek for help, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's that's how they approach it. So have you found that space for yourself?
I found that's uh, like or like a I suppose like a support system,
Yes.
someone to support.
Mm-hmm.
I found that, yes, and I found it in the people. I found it in everybody else. when I look outside and I see, when I'm walking around the mall
Mm-hmm.
or something like
Mm-hmm.
that, and I see a family walking by with a child, a mother and father with a newborn child or toddler, and they are, whether the child's laughing or crying and the parents are so frustrated or whatever it may be, I find happiness in that. Like that's them living life.
Yeah, because you're looking at the beauty in things. You're seeing beauty in the
Yes,
things around you, which is
exactly.
great because it says more about your mental state than actually it says more that you're able to identify beauty in what you see. You know, some people could see that and be like, how dare they show up to the mall with their family? You know, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
tell you that there are people that perceive things differently than you are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it I feel like it takes a lot of you do have to put effort. You
Mm-hmm.
need to educate yourself,
Yeah.
and we have things like YouTube, Google, and the internet, and we have information at our fingertips.
Mm-hmm.
And just like I said, what you do is what you become.
Yeah.
It's the same with what you research. If all you do is research, uh, Fox News, or all you do is research the NFL game or whatever it may be,
Mm-hmm.
then that is what you become. If you're struggling internally,
Mm-hmm.
then you need to research, and you can't just do one Google search or a few Google search. You need to research constantly on that subject until your perception has changed.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
because it does come down to educating yourself as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. You know, we have been giving this gift of reason and understanding and common sense, but we don't know how to navigate that. We don't know how to navigate our mental states of mind. So people that have done it, and they've written books about it. They've given us
Yes.
the tools to be able to help ourselves, which is what you're saying. You could either research it, but you also don't want to research and confirm a bias that you have.
There's, in the same way you said you got to read self help or whatever, and figure your how to be strong for yourself internally.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just depend on a system or a
Yeah.
book. Uh, just like you can't depend on any one diet.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose a diet such as keto, paleo, whatever it may be, as a base to start off. But we are all so incredibly different
Mm-hmm.
on a cellular level that it must be customized to you and yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you personally can accomplish that is by uh, self experimentation. And what I mean by that is, in the same way you would taste food to see what you're allergic to, that's what I mean by experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way you can reach the level to have the opportunity to self experiment, to find out who you really are, is by first detoxing yourself
Mm-hmm.
off of the substances, off of the unhealthy food. And it's only then, at that moment, that you can begin self experimenting. Because if you have very high levels of sugar, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
and you're eating candy bars all day long or whatever it may be, and then you're like, well, let me try, even if it was just yesterday. Okay, today I didn't eat any, but it's still in your system. And let me try this food and see how it makes me feel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the results of that are going to be tainted because you have not detoxed yourself. You have other chemicals in your body
Mm-hmm.
that are tainting the results.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes the same with your internal and emotional strength.
Yeah.
The things that could work for somebody else and help them get through times and help them manage a moment of crisis is not could work for someone else, but may not necessarily work for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, my personal go to is music or maybe a podcast or something. I put headphones on. That's why you see me in all my pictures and videos. I'm always wearing headphones because that is my tool. Music is my tool to help control my emotions sometimes.
Wow, this is great. I wasn't expecting that an MMA fighter would go so deep, but it's good because I think that we are both at this stage in our lives that we were able to draw ourselves to each other because we
Yeah.
recognize that we have struggled, we've done the work before. So we're able to recognize, maybe consciously or subconsciously, to recognize someone that has done the work as well. And that's what I think what drew us together. So to end this podcast, what is your plan now with your
Well,
MMA
this
fighting?
is my plan. You just referred to me as an MMA fighter,
Yeah.
but this is my goal. My goal is not to be an MMA fighter. That is simply something to aim at. I am going to use MMA or mixed martial arts as a tool to reach my goal. And my goal is to be a symbol for people and I hope that I can respectfully uh, embody uh, and symbolize martial arts both internally and externally, how I feel it should truly be represented uh, in the ring and in life, because my goal is to simply be a good role model for others, to help inspire others to become healthier. And I feel that if we can all just become healthier and educate ourselves and work on our internal trauma to become stronger, that we can spread less negative energy in the world.
Yeah.
And then we can be stronger and have a more calmer mind in order to help others and pick other people up who are suffering and
Yeah.
hurting and
Yeah.
need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my goal.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
This is why I started this channel. I want people to be able to understand that we are all in this life together. We need each other. We need to be able to help each other. Do your own work so you could help someone else and remain positive. Just focus on the messages that are around you. If they're negative, get rid of them. We want to be able to add value to this life that we're living in. Let's innovate. Let's build things that help other people. All right. See you guys next week. Bye.